Hi, your girl is back. I'm here with a Q&A today that I promised you guys for weeks now. If we haven't met before, my name is Marissa. I'm a 28-year-old single mom who asked for a divorce when I was 8 months pregnant with my second son. And I'm about to get into some questions that you guys asked anonymously. If you want to be a part of these questions in the next one, I'll put the link down below to where you can ask anonymously. Okay, question number one. You mentioned the divorce wasn't mutual. Who wanted the divorce? I very much wanted the divorce. I had kind of given him an ultimatum January of 2023, and I said, we need to seek help and you need to move out and stay with some friends, or I want a divorce now. And he eventually started going to therapy, and then we went to therapy together. He moved out, and then about 6 months later I ended up asking a divorce after we went to therapy for 6 months, and I just had to come to that conclusion. I think a lot of things changed on paper, like he stopped doing X, Y, and Z and started doing ABC, but the way he was actually treating me didn't change. What do you do for work? I love this question. This is fun for me. Let's backtrack. I have always kind of been a nanny, babysitting to nannying full-time, part-time, then full-time again. So in 2019, I met this family from care.com. And it ended up being amazing, which doesn't always happen, so I'm very grateful for that. But they owned a company at the time, and I was their nanny full-time. In October 2021, I left them for maternity leave, and then I ended up being a stay-at-home mom for about 14 months. And then after that is kind of when things started getting rocky with my ex, and I went back, I think, part-time, just to get some money saved up of my own, if you know what I mean. I was still doing some babysitting and nannying for them at that time, and then after I had my second son and I was going through the divorce and everything, I needed a different kind of job. So that company that I said that they owned, I now work for that company. Right now I'm an office assistant. I think my job's gonna be changing soon. Promotion, baby. I run Costco errands for them, which I'll be switching out of. I also clean the office for them, which I will also be switching out of. And then one of the days I work in their office, like on the computer. So all of those days will then probably switch to me working on some marketing stuff for them on the computer. Hopefully getting like an at-home office set up as well, so I can do some work from home, but that is all up in the air and we will see. And my other job, which I never really called it that until kind of recently, it doesn't ever feel like a job because it's literally the most fun and like dream job ever, but social media has given me the opportunity to stay in this house and live how I do, and I'm very grateful for that. I think if I was a single mom without social media, I would be really struggling to stay in the house and provide for the kids. So I'm very grateful. When I say social media, I mostly mean on my TikTok and then brand deals. Those are where I make the most money. I forgot to say about the job thing is I also did a couple months of UGC, which is user generated content, which is kind of more like filming ads versus posting ads to your social media. So you just kind of make the content and they post it on their social media only. So I've done a good amount of that. How was the transition from 1 to 2? For me personally, the transition from 1 to 2 is easier than from 0 to 1. I think that is just such a big jump, like a life shift, I think, from 0 to 1. And this, I kind of felt more confident this time, knowing like how to be a mom. I think the hardest part was when Arlo, my youngest, turned about 3 months old and he started sleeping really terribly, and that got really hard because I started working and he was sleeping really bad and I was doing it all, bringing them to work with me at the time. So it was a lot back then. One of the YouTube questions was, how did you handle newborn and toddler as a single mom? I think the biggest thing that helped was nap time with my oldest, or like quiet time, and also my newborn slept so much that the sleeping gave me breaks, just them sleeping and energy drinks. Another YouTube question says, how was the family court process for you? I'm over a year into mine and it's been really challenging in every aspect and expensive. The state I live in, Washington State, when we had that incident, Washington State gives people in my position a free attorney if, I'm trying to say this, if the respondent, which is like was my ex at the time, if they hired a lawyer, you get a free attorney. Does that make sense? So in the type of case that we had, it was a protection order for a specific, anyways, I got a free attorney. So for that, I didn't have to pay for anything because I live in Washington State. And then for the divorce stuff and family court, we haven't started. You experience doubts that your ex will change for the next girl. I feel like I don't know what that means. He has a girlfriend. They've been together since like January or February. Do I have doubts that he will change? Am I not understanding? Will he change for her? I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. Like, I feel bad for her if she's going through what I did. It's not funny. It's like literally not a laughing matter. I hope he's treating her better. I really do. How do you feel handle the future possibility of your kids being around another woman, your ex's next partner? This is probably one of the hardest things for me. I'm like, how real should I be right now? Okay, we're getting real. It's literally the hardest thing for me. Like, I could start crying because just thinking about my kids like playing family with another woman is hard for me right now. And I think it's because of the person that it is and like all the hurt that came with when they first started dating and stuff. I just kind of remind myself that I want my kids to be surrounded by people who love them, and that's what should matter, and that is what matters. And as long as she's treating them well and showing them love and being a good example, and that's the hard part, is I don't know, because I don't really know this person very well. I met them twice, I think, in like March or even February, kind of without my blessing. She hasn't been able to see the kids until very recently. I think either last weekend or this weekend she's been around them again. Did you vote in the most recent election? If yes, who did you vote for? Yes, I did, and I voted for Kamala Harris. How did you get past the guilt of getting a sitter so you can go on a date or even have some time to yourself? I think with my first son, I did not let anyone watch him for like a year. It was insane, and I regretted it a little bit because I think it doesn't help me or my son at the time that he was so used to only having me. So now basically the only people I let watch my kids are my parents. I think I just knew when I was becoming a single mom, I knew that that was something I had to get used to, was going to work and having someone watch my kids. Like, I needed to work, and I brought them with me for a long time. But now they just got too old for me to keep bringing them for it to make sense. So my parents watch them now. I also let a couple of my friends watch my kids, especially when I was going to court, because my parents were out of town for like all of April, and I had gone to court like 5 times in that span. And so I had 2 of my best friends. They helped a lot watching the kids when I was gone for those 2 hours. Getting someone to watch your kids, those people love your kids too. It shows my kids, personally at least, that mom always comes back. How do you become an influencer? I'm a single mom who could def use the more income. In 2022, of the summer of 2022, when I was lonely stay-at-home mom, and I started doing baby lesbianing videos with my son. Then I did a baby names video, and that one went viral. And then one of my best friends now, he was like, did you know that there's something called a micro influencer? And I was like, what is that? And he was like, just start posting like you're an influencer. And from that day on, I did my research. I researched the heck out of there, threw an email in my bio, and posted every day since. I haven't really gotten paid hardly anything until this year is when I started making like good money. Like before, when I say that, I mean my biggest brand deal at the time was like $200, and I only got paid 100 of it, and like never got the other 100. And then I would get like cents every day on TikTok. So that is what I mean by like small, like I hardly got paid. And then commissions from like Amazon influencer stuff, and like to know, I didn't make very much like scents, and I'm still not making. I don't like push products very much. It's not my vibe. I do sometimes, but so my commission on Amazon influencer or whatever it's called, associates and LTK are pretty low. Like I don't really care to do that. I get more on TikTok and with brand deals. That stuff kind of started to flourish, I would say maybe like summer of this year. If you were to get remarried, would you like more kids? I would say yes. I would be lying if I said no, but I will be honest with you guys and say that if I find a partner who wants kids as well, like more kids, then I would be open to having more kids. But if my partner said no and like didn't want any, I think I'd be fine with that too. I have my 2 boys and they're everything. You think you'll be able to stay in your house after the divorce? This is super up in the air. I don't know. If you don't know, we haven't even started our divorce yet. And it's been over a year. But if you have young kids, and it's very expensive, and we also had planned on it, and I started the paperwork, and then a big incident happened March of this past year, and that kind of slowed things down. I have a couple options. It would be to somehow get him to let me stay, or I could try and pay him out. Now that would take a big chunk of change in my pocket, so if you guys see any brand deals, make sure to interact with them. No, but really, thank you if you do. So yeah, I don't know. I think if I had to leave here, I'd have to probably move in with my parents for a good amount of time, or just like go to an apartment. I don't know. You know, you wanted a divorce before or after you found out with baby number 2? I knew for a fact that I wanted a divorce, and it was after I found out I was pregnant. I talked about this before on my other platforms, but I asked for that ultimatum, and then the very next morning, like, kicked him out of my house, and then the next morning I found out I was pregnant with baby number 2. The literal very next morning. So even at that time, I didn't know I was gonna get a divorce, obviously. So it was like 6 months later. How did your parents react to you telling them you were getting a divorce? I think my parents have been my biggest rocks out of all of this. I'm really grateful to have them. We have had like a rocky relationship, so it hasn't always been perfect. But as of right now, they watch my kids every week. Like, they help me when I'm at work. They're the best. When I told my mom, she was, of course, they're like super religious, so they were a little bit surprised and shocked. I don't want to speak too much for them, but they knew everything that was going on. Like, my mom was the first person to know that I was having problems at home, and she was giving me some pretty good advice and all of that. But I mean, I don't think, a lot of people don't like super love divorce, which I don't either. I didn't want that, you know. But I think that they were pretty supportive when they found out like all the reasons why. Do you think you can reconcile with your ex-husband's family? This one is hard for me because ever since me and my ex got married, there have been things, I mean, even ever since we like started dating, there has been some things that weren't super great. And then when me and my ex started going to therapy together, during all the issues, even our therapist was like, you should go no contact. He was saying that to my ex. I feel like that kind of shows that there's problems. Do I think we can reconcile? I mean, probably maybe one day or down the road, but they have done a lot of things and burnt a lot of bridges and treated me really bad. His extended family, love them. There have been girls my age who were like cousins and everything, friends and family, who have been so sweet to me since everything and just been very understanding. And I mean, they just know the tea, so they have been really sweet. Okay, let's talk dating. Looking to date anyone. I have been on one singular date since everything happened, and it was with a man who ended up being 54 years old. Double my age. Now listen, trust me, he does not look that old. He looks about 35. He's got some good Jamaican genes in him. He was gorgeous. But we did that one date and we're like, oh. I was supposed to go on a date actually with a guy I met on Hinge last week, was it? Or like a couple weeks ago. and he actually bailed on me like less than 2 hours before the date was supposed to start. So that was super lame. I was gonna give him a second chance, and then he kind of showed me some more red flags, and so I stopped texting. Who's the last guy you texted? You nosy bitches. It's one of my best friends. His name's Tyler. This one says, how do you maintain your mental health as a single mom? I'm struggling. My heart goes out to you. Like, all my love to you. Please DM me if you're struggling. I don't really know how to say this. I think I surround myself with a lot of my friends and family. I think that helps the most. Overall, I'm a very optimistic person despite what's going on around me. I think I do struggle sometimes, especially with like changes. Anything that is like a big change, I'm not very good with. Like the kids going to unsupervised, that was a big change that was hard for me. But I think a lot of distraction. I distract myself a lot. Guys, if you are like actually like at home with your kids a lot and you need a distraction and like to have adult conversation, my favorite thing to do is like pop in an AirPod and like listen to an audiobook or a podcast. Otherwise, I always suggest therapy. I really want to start going again, because me and my ex went for almost a year, and it was like the most validating, helpful thing that I have ever spent money on. Please seek help and tell someone that you're struggling. Tell a family, tell friends, DM me, literally anyone. Tell them that you're struggling. That is all the questions that we're gonna do today. Thank you guys so much for submitting them. It was really fun, but I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!
Blow me up, hold me down, split me like an